In addition to Karen and I, today you're going to meet some of the other members of the Seeking Center team. Lisa and Noel are joining us, and in the spirit of Halloween and the magical energy that comes with this time of year, we all decided to look at some simple spells that can bring more peace, protection, and clarity into your life. First of all, what is a spell? A spell is typically understood as a set of words, gestures, or rituals believed to invoke supernatural powers to achieve a desired outcome. It has roots in many ancient traditions and is often associated with magic, witchcraft, and spiritual practices. In different cultures and throughout history, spells have been seen as a way to influence the physical world or manipulate unseen forces, often for healing, protection, love, or prosperity. In modern times, spells have taken on various forms, depending on the belief system or spiritual path. Many contemporary practitioners see spells as a way to focus intention, aligning their will with spiritual or cosmic energies, which is how we'll be using the spells we talk about today as symbolic acts that blend belief, intention, and ritual to harness energy towards specific outcomes, a practice that continues to evolve across cultures and belief systems. Most of these can be used year-round, but we thought they'd be especially timely right now. So what resonates with you? Whether you want to attract abundance, release old energy, or manifest more love in your life, there's something for everyone. As you celebrate this Halloween, maybe a little magic will make its way into your life too. So first of all, let's say hi to Lisa and to Noel. I'm gonna have Lisa say hi first so you get to know her voice, and then Noel. So Lisa
I'm Lisa.
and Noel.
Hi there, I'm Noelle.
We're so excited to have you guys here. What you all don't know is that we go way back, and they are an integral part of the Seeking Center team. And you'll be hearing from them and seeing them more throughout our podcast and on YouTube.
We've said so long, we have such good, juicy conversations. And we was like, gosh, we should just record these. So now we're just going to do it.
Exactly. So we started talking about this a few weeks ago. When we think about spells, what do we think of?
I'm always scared by that word. We always heard about it in terms of hexes, spells, magic, witchcraft, things like that. And I think, especially at this time of the year, it crops up a lot. Everybody who listens to Seeking Center also knows that my mom is we used to call her a powerful witch, because she would also threaten to put spells on us as kids if we didn't behave. So there's a little bit of that, oh, maybe there is some reality here in this. But I like what you said in the intro, Robyn, about the idea of there is a lot of lore around it, but I think at the end of the day, a spell really is an intention.
Exactly.
Thinking it from that perspective is a little less scary.
Less good and evil, but it's good energy and bad energy.
Yeah, it's more of a practice of gathering your thoughts and getting some clarity just for yourself, right? And channeling that energy into action. That's empowering. And so for me, I think it's more of a personal thing, regardless of the outcome or whatever may or may not happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's taken on this other meaning, because when people think of witches and using spells, and listen, it does sound woo, right? But these words like sorcery and things like witchcraft and all of that, really, when we think about it, it is just setting powerful intention and knowing we all have the ability to see and feel energy. We just don't necessarily recognize that's what it is. What we're saying is, like, a lot of times spells could be thought of in some sort of negative way. And that is absolutely not how we think of it. I think we're powerful manifestors in using intention and using energy for good.
And I think too, if you even go back to the fairy tales, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Sleeping, all those old ones, and you see those powerful sorcerers. I love that you use that word, Robyn, sorcerers. I always loved putting it in the context of source energy, of really being to one's own source energy, which feels positive. But on the other side of it, in those stories, that they were harnessing the power of this source to control their environment. So if you can look at that as a positive and negative. So if you can be a sorcerer of good power, or in some of those stories, they were the source of bad power. But I just love the idea of a spell being able to tap into source to control your energy to use your power for manifesting what you want or power for good. So
I love that.
I like that.
Now I'm thinking of Mickey Mouse and Fantasia.
I think, yes.
Yes, conjuring. And that's the thing. We're not naive to think that people don't use energy in a different way. It's just not how we use energy. As much as we can talk about using energy for good and moving things forward for people in a positive way, that's what we're going to do. But again, we know there are other sides. Where there is light, there is dark. It's just, where do you choose to focus? And there are people who focus on the dark. And we believe the more you can focus on the light, the more positive our lives are going to be, and how we can then impact other lives as well.
I love how we talk about the magic, right? And that's where the magic is. It is a spell in a way of making energy work for you in your favor in a way that's positive for you. So
I guess that's where it loses me a little bit, is the magic that we think. We hear that word and we're like, well,
Yes.
that's not real. That's a trick. It's an illusion. When that comes into play for it, I guess that's why the word spell is got those connotations, because it's just, I don't know, it feels a little left.
That's a really good point. And actually, that makes me think of this example where I was with a magician who is a very well-trained magician. And as we know, to your point, Lisa, magicians, they're creating illusions. I'm going to say there's some sort of trick behind it. And I was showing this magician the use of a pendulum, using an actual pendulum for divination. It's much easier for you to do this on your own. The idea is that when you hold the pendulum over your heart chakra and you think about something that makes you angry, and so there's two people need to be involved. Somebody's lying there and thinking about something that makes them angry. And then there's another person holding the pendulum over them. And that person holding the pendulum over the person is anybody. It doesn't need to be anyone who believes or not believes. It's just holding it still. And when that person underneath them is thinking of something angry, that pendulum begins to spin. And so I did this on this magician, and he wanted to know what I was doing. And when it was spinning on its own, and then I would say to this person, now I want you to think of something that makes you peaceful and calm. And the pendulum stopped right away, literally didn't move. And I said, now I want you to do it to me. So we changed positions, and I was lying there and that person was holding it. And it blew their mind, because they're like, wait, this isn't a trick. This is real magic. This is real. And I think that, to me, is such a good way for somebody else to see and feel the magic. Magic is real. It doesn't have to be a trick, but it gets a bad rap.
Because it's more unexplainable than anything else.
Yeah,
Now I'm going to go out and buy a pendulum and try it after this.
it's really cool.
it is.
You know what else I wanted to throw out there too about the spell idea? If we wanted to draw any kind of line, the way I love to look at it is like a spell is something that controls you. You're not trying to control someone else necessarily. And I used to say to people that I was having trouble with that I'm going to put a spell on that person. And what I really meant was I was going to arrange for me not to have that person in my presence anymore. And Robyn, you'll appreciate this. The spell I always did was freezing the energy.
I was going to bring it up, so I'm glad you are. It is Sonia Toquette's spell that we've taken from her book, Trust Your Vibes. We use it all the time.
It's so powerful because literally you can just set the intention, right? That you do want to maybe have this person's energy removed from your day to day, if at all possible. And you put their name on a piece of paper and you put it in a baggie.
And you need to say this particular line.
Oh, you do? I see. And I've never done that.
Oh, there you go.
And it works.
What's the line?
So the line that you need to say, or that I say, I guess you don't need to say it because Karen hasn't said it, but I've always said it. So on one side of the piece of paper, you write the person's name. On the other side, you say, I freeze all negativity, known or unknown, from insert person's name moving towards me as of now. And then you put that piece of paper in the water and zip up we usually put it in a Ziploc, or you can put it in a glass jar as well. And then you put it in your freezer.
The idea is you're setting the intention to have this energy sort of removed, frozen from your experience. And it's actually worked for me every single time. And again, it's not setting the intention of anything bad happening to that person. It's saying, okay, I'm going to create this magical boundary. That person does not need to be in my presence anymore. And it works. So that to me is an example of a spell.
And I know Karen and I have a whole shelf of bags. So
When I moved, I had quite a few to remove from the freezer. And I love actually what you said, Robyn, because a spell very often is associated with some kind of rhymey thing, right? That you put with it. So I think that's really cool. But again, it just sets an intention. It gives you the power to have a certain situation work for you in your favor. And so I love looking at it with that lens, because I think that's really in alignment with what we all think and believe.
It's like a mindfulness trick. It is your power that you're exerting and not the other person's.
yes, and it really is. And I think once you are able to release energy from whomever it is for this freezing negativity exercise, honestly, Karen and I can tell you story after story of how whomever it is, and I've had Bella use it, I've had Jeff use it, the person somehow becomes almost non-existent in our lives.
They magically disappear.
And again, nothing terrible. It's either somehow they move, somehow you are no longer having to work with them day to day for whatever reason. It's like nothing bad. It's just strange.
Do you think it works if you are hypothetically the type of person who is a little more skeptical about spells or manifestation? Or do you have to just be open, or do you have to like really fully believe? What do you think about that?
I would say this is one that is fun to try. That's how I went into it, because I didn't have a solid expectation that it would actually do anything. And when it did, it was like, wow, this is crazy. So
That makes sense.
I think it's a great one for anybody who's even curious to just try it and see what happens. Because again, it's not going to hurt anybody. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world, but it's a good experiment to try.
Just being open is what I'd say. You can be a little skeptical, but have a little bit of openness and fun with it.
And whether or not the person is in or out of your life or your workspace, don't let it bother you as much.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'll tell you, I have not just used it in work situations. I have used it in my personal life. And sometimes I'm like, why didn't I think of this sooner with this person?
Does it feel immediate? Is it like
Within like a couple days is what I would say.
Yeah, it's not immediate so much. And what I found with it too, Lisa, that's really cool is sometimes I'll forget about it. And then a couple of weeks later, I'm like, oh my gosh, that person is not around anymore. So there's almost that like you do it and you let go of it.
Yeah, because I think there's that release, right?
yeah, you stopped giving that person or that thing, that issue, your energy. So to your point, Karen, it's really just about coming back to yourself and putting up those protections and boundaries and focusing on what you need.
And I would want to go to that freezer, like to see that it's frozen and actually look at it. And it makes it feel more real.
That's funny.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
And I'm bringing this up because I think the origin of this conversation happened because my daughter ended up buying this book for me last Halloween.
What's the book, Karen?
It's called 1001 Spells. So it could keep you very busy throughout the year. And it says The Complete Book of Spells for Every Purpose by Cassandra Eason. And she lives in England. And if you look her up, she looks like she knows what she's talking about. I'll just leave it at that. She's very, very famous for these. And what I love about them, there is something for everything in here. And all of the requirements are really cool. A lot of them are spices or things that you have around the house. And again, in your life to help manifest money. It's all about empowering you as the sorcerer, as the magician, magic person to do these things. And it's all about setting intention. And a lot of it is you repeat a saying like an affirmation. So it's really very close to what we do on a day-to-day. It's just the context of all of this, I think, is what we're looking at.
Can I ask, what would you say the difference is between a spell and manifesting something?
I don't think there's a huge difference, honestly.
So we're talking about manifestation.
I think so.
Way.
Because I think personally, when you're manifesting something, you are setting an intention for, and then you can have different rituals depending on what you're trying to manifest, which to me, it all falls under that same umbrella. It's
just another way to think about it.
It's basically a different spin on manifesting.
And having a ritual and actually taking action instead of just saying it in your mind just gives it like so much more credence that if you have, I imagine like a little pot on a stove and you're physically doing something. And so it just solidifies it in your mind.
Actually, what you just said was an aha for me, because with some of the things that we're talking about today, where you are using a little bit of cinnamon or a bay leaf or something, incense of some sort, you're using all these different senses. So it's actually helping to make it more tangible to what you were just saying, Noel. There's something about that ritual and that additional presence and energy that makes it more real, that makes your intention even more real. I love that.
And I think if you look back at like even witches in general, they were really mothers of the earth. They understood how herbs could work together. For a lot was really based on healing properties, right? What were the herbs that you could take from the earth and combine them in certain ways for healing? And then when you add the affirmation aspect to it, it really does tie in all the things that we already talk about. So
it makes me think of Native Americans, right?
Yeah.
Who very much created so many of these intentions and spells using different plant medicine and everything else from the earth, but with ritual.
They understood a lot of these spells were done at a certain time of year or
Right.
under the full moon because they all were utilizing the earth as orchestrators of their wishes and use now magic to call them in and to bless them. It really was very ritualistic. It's fun to tie how we were taught about what all of this really is and look at it from a different perspective.
Love it.
It's about timing. It's important.
1000%. All right. Should we talk about another spell that we found that is really around success, creating, wishing, manifesting success?
Let's do it.
I love this one. So this is called the Wish for Success spell. So the idea is you write down your wish on a bay leaf. And we did our research on what bay leaves were. Bay leaves are symbols of protection and purification. They are thought to off negativity and attract positive energy. So Lisa and Noel actually have bay leaves. I didn't have one in my house. So
I don't have crystals, but I have cooking supplies.
There you go.
So what you need to do is you have to write down this wish that you have. And then once you finish doing that, you hold it to your heart and visualize it as true. So again, it's this whole idea of manifestation, visualization, of bringing that into being. So you focus on what you want to manifest, imagine it as if it's already happened. Let the feeling overwhelm you and take as long as you need. How are we feeling about this?
I wrote my thing. So now I hold it.
Yeah, hold it over your heart.
Okay.
Visualize it as true. Really focus on what it is you're trying to manifest. And then imagine as if it has already happened. What does that feel like? And let that feeling take over who you are and where you are right now.
I love that Noelle is smiling.
And then we need to burn this bay leaf.
Should I burn it with my sage?
Oh, that's a good idea.
You could.
I'll burn it after the call.
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
have to do it right this
Yeah.
minute.
And you say, and so it shall be.
Okay.
So this one we'll have to check back in with you both.
So another thing that we came across when we were doing some research for this podcast episode was something called scrying, which I had no idea what scrying.
It was a word.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what scrying is first, because it honestly sounds a little scary to me. So scrying is an ancient form of divination that involves gazing into a reflective or translucent surface to perceive visions or symbols, often to gain insight into the past, present, or future. Tools for scrying are a crystal ball, mirror, water, smoke or fire, and even in one of the spells, we saw a cup of coffee.
That maybe the steam from a coffee.
Yeah, one of the things that we saw, it said the modern witch might use a cup of black coffee. And then it says, focus your attention on the dark liquid until you see a mist appear and your vision begins to blur. Now, I have both a crystal ball and a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing this one.
When we talked about doing this one, we all were like, okay, that sounds like some scary shit. So basically, even though we talked about using a mirror, which I also have at the ready if we want to try this. Karen, you were saying before we started today, when you think about this idea of scrying and or using a mirror and all of these things, crystal ball, we weren't really talking about the cup of coffee, that they can be portals.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had heard someone being interviewed on a podcast about that specifically, about this being a ritual that they use for mediumship. So they would put, this is going to sound like a haunted house, but literally you would be sitting alone in a very dark room in front of a very large mirror that had a candle in front of it. And the idea was you would stare at the mirror. And allegedly, you'd set the intention also for communicating with your deceased loved ones, and you would literally be able to see them in the mirror. That just was too seancey for me.
So,
Yeah.
I don't think I would call
And
that.
again, we know that when we started out, we can set that intention for good. However, there is, in this sense, it's not that we're saying it's negative, it just seems creepy.
yeah, we all have different thresholds for this type of thing, right?
I don't want to look at my coffee and maybe see my dad. Like, I'd rather see him in my mind's eye. That sounds better to me.
In a dream versus,
Honestly, I think I have this crystal ball, which Karen sent me a couple of years ago for one of my birthdays. And it is super cool. Like, I like just having it. But if I was to start to really use it, I think just this idea of always having a portal like that, to me, I don't know why it scares me.
What I love about the idea of the crystal ball is that it is a tool. It's an intention, that physical form, to utilize it as a window into seeing more.
Yeah.
Robyn can sense and feel and all those things already, but I thought it was just an interesting experiment, fun that you could try just to see what you could potentially see in something like that. The idea, the mirror scares me. And I think, first of all, none of these tools are ever going to work if you're scared. Let's just start there.
That's such a good point.
If I was scared about looking in that mirror, I'm hoping that I wouldn't see anything. But if you are using a tool that you feel comfortable with, doesn't have to be a crystal ball, it can be anything really, but you setting the intention that there'll be some kind of visualization message for you could be fun to try.
Even if you don't want it to be a visualization, it could just be energy. I don't want to see anything inside that would scare the crap out of me.
And we know that there are a lot of people that use these tools, and that's very helpful and comforting to them. I would just say not so much for us.
Again, it's about setting intention, and also very often they say a prayer or do a meditation or some kind of prayer protection. So everybody knows out there that we're setting the intention for only good things to come through. So there's that piece of it too. But so let's talk about the scrying ritual though, just for those who are intrigued by it. Tell us more.
Sure. Okay. And this comes up especially around this time. Again, can be used at any time, but during this time, because it's believed the veil is the thinnest during this time of year. So it's easier to communicate with spirit, especially your ancestors. So what they say is to cast a protective circle around something, again, water, cup of black coffee, a mirror, a crystal ball, if you happen to have one too. And when they say cast a protective circle, they say visualize it being encircled by a glowing white light. That glowing white light is protective. And then focus your attention on whatever that is that you're using to see into. And your vision should start to almost blur the more you're staring at this. And once your focus is neutralized, ask spirit or whomever you're trying to channel if they would like to appear and converse. And then notice if any images or words materialize in either your mind's eye, so what we like to say your third eye, right inside your mind, or in whatever you're looking at, whether that's a mirror, liquid, or crystal ball. And what we've read is maybe it won't happen the first time, but keep trying. Do it every day, make it a ritual, and see what happens. What messages are you able to receive? I will really encourage, if you do this, just make sure you're always encircling that with that protective circle of white light. And then when you're done, that you close it, that you say, I'm done now for the day. You close that back up. Because if it's a portal, just like anything, honestly, like I do this when I go to sleep at night, because I have made myself open to receive messages from spirit for myself and others. When I go to bed at night, it's like lights out. we're done here. Nobody should come talk to me except for like my own spirit guides in my dreams. And I think it's the same thing is when you're going to open any sort of portal. So using coffee, water, mirror, crystal ball, make sure you close the portal.
The coffee in the dishwasher.
Yeah, to pour that shit out. Like,
Robyn, when you wake up in the morning, do you close it?
you mean, do I open it up back up, basically? I close it before I go to sleep to not receive messages for
You
others
don't want.
that I don't want, because I've been woken up before by scary stuff, to be honest. And that really frightened me. And it wasn't necessarily that they were evil. It just scared me because I wasn't prepared for it. And after talking to Lisa Nitskin, who's been on the podcast and who's a medium, you got to get that under control. And you actually do have control of it. They will honor your wishes. So when I wake up in the morning, every morning, I open myself up to receive messages and wisdom for my highest good or highest good of others. So others can come to me during the day. As long as it's for someone's highest good, it's not scary.
When I did my reading with Lisa, I did a couple readings with Lisa. She's amazing. And that's one of the things that she says as she gets started, and saying that this is only for good. I only want to hear from people that are good, and nothing on the
Exactly.
scary side.
Yeah. And so as long as you set that intention, which I do every day, that's why I do receive messages for people. And sometimes for me, it comes in more of a meditative state, whether I'm running in a shower or actually meditating. So that's where I'm able to get messages for others. And it doesn't scare me because I'm open for that. But when I'm sleeping at night,
I was just
Shut it
thinking
down.
maybe a word that would make people feel less trepidatious instead of portal. Think of it like a phone, like you can hang up, right? So you're actually making a phone call, you're allowed that open-ended conversation is welcome from spirit, whoever decides to talk to you, but that you can hang up the phone and shut it down that way. I always have trouble with portals. I don't know why. I'm fascinated by them, but I'm also a little terrified of an idea of getting sucked into one and not finding my way back. So
I love that idea.
Too many movies with portals.
Yeah.
I just think, again, this is something to have fun with. If it calls to you, if you want to experiment and see what messages you might get. What's the next one, Robyn?
Should we do some tarot?
Ooh.
Tarot reading?
Why not?
I finally bought my deck of cards. I love pulling, and there's so many different ways of pulling them. Is there a special way that we should be pulling these?
So the way that the tarot reading that we read about for this time of year, but again, can be used any time of year, is just pulling 3 cards and drawing one for the past, one for the present, and one for the future. And again, this is a very normal way to do this any time of year.
So if you guys are open, why don't we each do one for you guys?
It is a tarot deck. It's a Salvador Dali tarot deck. The cards are going to look a little different than yours, but I have the booklet that goes along with it.
Oh,
So
great. For those interested, I'm just using the classic tarot deck.
the Rider-Waite tarot, that's one of the most common ones used. And mine uses the same cast of characters. It just looks a little different because they're using Dali, his paintings, as part.
It's a really good learning deck because it has all the information flipped.
Yeah.
It tells you what the reverse is. So it's really helpful.
Okay, so now I need a tarot deck, a pendulum, and a freezer bag. After this call, I'm like, I want to do everything.
We're definitely circling back on all these things. Yes. All right.
And I need a bay leaf, by the way. So
I got you covered.
And then how about we're going to choose 3 cards, right? One past, one present, one future for each.
yeah, let's do that. Am I going to do Lisa and you do Noel? Okay.
I feel very empowered.
Okay, so I picked 3. I'm putting the rest of the cards down. Just want you to know. And I've put them in order so I know.
And I'm just digging here in the middle of the deck and seeing what comes. Although I might have to take this one that's popping out. They say if one starts popping out, you should just pull it anyway because it might be wanting to really explain itself. So I'm going to do that.
That's how I do it. If something falls out, that's the one I pick.
Karen?
Yes. The very first card, so this would represent past for Noel that I received, is the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is the epitome of a romantic dreamer embodying creativity, charm, and the pursuit of beauty. He represents following the heart with imagination and grace, often seen as a figure of proposals and grand romantic gestures.
So
Wow, that's
so what do
cool.
we think that means in the past?
I give you my interpretation. So I don't know Noel as well as everybody else here on this. And I think I've always felt since I met you that your drive in life to do anything has always come from your heart and from this romantic notion of life and what can I do with it and what can I create and imagine into being. And that is so clear in the path that you have been on in your life. There's just this magic and charm and energy of this romantic kind of way of creating, I think, just in general, that you exude for me anyway. So that's how I
Oh,
enjoy.
I love that. Thank you.
I love that.
So you look at it as what Noelle brings with her from the past and is bringing into, let's say, where we are now.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. I love that.
Very positive and romantic. Okay.
What this is.
Oh no.
Maybe I need to pull a different one because I don't understand. I'm going to look
Great
at.
start.
Hold on.
Love that
Oh,
one.
I think it's a wand, you guys.
Ooh,
It's the Ace
that
of
would-
Wands. This card is all about finding our real identity and true home. To be centered within ourselves and at the same time at home in the world often entails two conflicting issues or two ends of a wand that need to be united. So advice. This card challenges you to do something active and yet also have the courage to let something happen. You will learn the answer by doing. Follow your energy and keep moving. Closely observe your fellow human beings and pay attention to relevant forces.
I like that one.
That makes a lot of
Ooh.
sense to me for you.
It,
What was the card again, Robyn? When
It is the Ace of Wands.
I was just looking to see what it says in here.
that's cool.
There's so much in there knowing Lisa. There's just these different aspects and it representing your past, especially, and what a lot of that you have gone through to
Yep.
get you here.
Yep, that one resonates. I will
Okay.
say. I'll give it to tarot. It's a
All
good one.
right.
I love how that deck too that you have gives relevant things to do with it.
Yeah, it's neat.
I was watching Lisa's face the whole time to see if she was buying it.
The instinct stuff too. I was like, yeah, that was like my gateway, I feel, into spirituality and stuff is just like really having a feeling and not really being able to explain it, but just knowing that's where I need to go and that's what I need to do and following it. And that's something that I've always done.
The
So,
doing is what it, right? By doing.
yeah, that's a cool one.
Great.
I love how crazy this is, how it always resonates. So let's move on to Noelle's present. And Robyn, maybe while we're doing this too, if you wouldn't mind following along with your book,
Yeah.
just if there's like anything in that book that gives her some things to do that I love that concept. Your second night,
Another
so another night.
Is that good to have 2 nights in a row?
Nights are great.
Knight of
Swords.
Swords.
Okay.
Knight
And
of
that of Swords. So the Knight of Swords symbolizes the drive and ambition to achieve one's goals. It represents swift action, quick thinking, and the courage to defend beliefs, portraying a figure who is intensely focused and determined to succeed.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's a great card.
again, and knowing
Cool.
the you, that is you, this is who you are. This is someone who is still incredibly driven to do your thing the way you want to do it. But I love how it has defending beliefs there because now you want to do it within a realm, within an organization that really mirrors who you are and the beliefs that you have. This is exactly who you are now. This is exactly where you are.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it because there's like belief systems in so many different areas of life.
Well,
It could be work, it
Yes.
could be personal, it could be all kinds of things.
correct.
So that's fabulous.
You'll appreciate the practical advice that this book gives. Building upon that, it says, take your thoughts further than usual, risk greater commitment and be more consequential and steadfast. Leave old thought patterns behind. Take your thoughts seriously and interpret them like dreams.
The practical advice is great because it's okay, this is where I'm at now, but now
Yeah.
what do I do with that information? That's like why I like the angel cards because they have here's what you can do.
And that's why these can be really fun to do with angel cards, I feel like. Because to your point, Noelle, like a lot of times these are reflections of past, present, and future, but then it gives you that insight of now what do I do with it?
What's the difference? What are angel cards?
So to me, the tarot is a much more literal interpretation. It's almost like a deck of cards. So every single card is very specific to the intention that you're setting for this experience. And it's very directional, where I feel like the angel cards give you a surround.
I would say the difference to me is that, for instance, I think that the tarot, to Karen's point, are a very specific set of cards, intentions, and so forth, and different angel and oracle cards, I think are infused with energy that comes from whoever created that deck with a specific intention. It's different than tarot because it's different energy and different wisdom to help surround you. So to me, it's like you can use both. You can pull an angel or oracle card and a tarot card, and they'll both give you different guidance and energy. I just think that to me, it's infused with different energy. And I think the other thing is that every person uses, whether it's tarot cards and or angel cards, differently. For a lot of intuitives, it really is just a resource and a path for them to channel easier. It helps them zero in on the message that you're supposed to hear right now or whenever you have a reading. So I think for every person who uses it, it's slightly a different tool.
Yeah, it's not that my cards, now that I think about it, it is, what do I need to know about this situation right now? It's a Colette Baron read, The Wisdom of the Oracle.
And that's what I mean. And there's certain energy that's in those cards that comes through, and that may resonate with you on a specific day more than, let's say, another deck of cards, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think energy is a really good way to describe it, because I feel like tarot is much more black and white energy, and the oracle and angel is much more soft.
We're moving to Lisa's present card, which looks like a chalice or a cup. It is the Ace of Cups.
I got Ace of Wands. Now I have Ace of Cups. Noel
Correct.
has Knight.
Yeah, got a theme going.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
Right?
excited to see
Isn't
what
that
the third card
interesting?
is.
So Ace of Cups. The secret of the Ace of Cups lies in purification of the psyche. If you can learn to delve deep into your feelings through reconciliation or by letting go, thus ensuring that no bad feelings or compromises dull the clear mirror of your soul, you will stay young regardless of your age. We are all in need of a place we consider our true home, which we will find wherever we can purify our psyche and recharge our batteries. In short, wherever our soul takes a wing. Practical advice. This is not the time for great promises or expectations, but for personal integrity. Settle all problems that dull your feelings. Clear your emotions and take your own cup into your own hand. Girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, so also the last one said something about true home, and this one said something about true home also, and like identity. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Something to know in there too.
Something there.
This is so much fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about the future one.
I got the goosebumps. I love that this is the one that you got for your future, especially in light of everything that we've been talking about. The Magician.
Ooh.
Oh,
Such a great card. The Magician signifies the realization of personal power and creativity. It embodies action and manifestation, highlighting self-confidence, willpower, and skill. This card symbolizes the clarity and focus necessary to turn visions into reality.
that's wonderful.
Wow.
These cards go together, right? In a story. They really do. Talking about where you've come from in terms of your creativity and your belief in everything that you can do and create. This talking about you defending your beliefs and doing what you really love right now. And then this whole idea of manifesting now in your future and having this confidence and sort of this beautiful manifestation of everything that you're trying to achieve. So
the practical advice it says here is no one can misappropriate or take away your special talents and qualities. Use your imagination, creativity, and communication skills. Make your very own distinctive contribution.
that's perfect.
Wow, this is an amazing reading, and it sets you up that you feel like, okay, what is in these cards is what's happening right now, and that you're on the right path.
And we very much set the intention when we chose these cards for each of you. All I could think of is like connecting to Lisa's soul. And I'm sure that's what Karen was doing for you, Noel. And so they're so connected to the energy that you are and also need to hear.
Need
Exactly.
to hear is, key turn in there.
Okay, so this is what you got, Lisa, for your future. The Empress.
What's she doing?
That is, again, with this story. Let's read The Empress. Interesting, you both got major. So there are in tarot, there are major arcana cards and minor, and you both got major arcana cards as your future, which they're just a bit bolder. The card is a mirror of your own femininity. The card is all about living a fruitful, flourishing, and star-studded life. Women as well as men are encouraged to become rulers of their own destiny and to take responsibility for their own well-being and fortune. Practical advice. In order to be happy and feel good, it is important to create your own realm and to establish and follow rules that underpin your well-being and the pleasure you experience. Take charge of your daily well-being. Ban false goddesses and foreign empresses from your life. Wowza. That is positive and that is powerful, is what I would say.
Yeah,
And
it seems like a pretty serious one.
and very aligned with where you are going in life.
Oh, wow. I'm going to do this every day. It makes me feel good.
Can you call me every morning?
Those are incredible readings, and you're both incredible people. We're so fortunate for you helping to bring, in my opinion, Seeking Center choosing all of us to help bring her and this into the world. So makes so much sense.
I would like to get into tarot. I like pulling these cards on a daily basis because there's really nothing negative that can come from it. Sometimes angel cards can come upside down, but so it just means that there's a different type of message, more of a protection message. It's a really just a nice kind of intention setting thing to pull in the morning. And it's just brings some positivity to the day.
It is. And
I think to your point, Noel, for everyone listening, a tarot deck, they're not typically expensive. And it really is something where if you need something more tangible, you don't feel like you can meditate and just get a message. It's a really cool way to tangibly receive a message that is definitely being channeled by your own energy, your own spirit.
And then if you add that other layer of the angel card on top of it, it just makes you feel like you're surrounded and protected on top of it all. So yeah, it's a really fun way to start a day.
It gives you something to anchor to for the rest of the day
I
too,
think
right?
so. I personally set an intention every single day. And sometimes that intention is the same as the day before. I think for people who have a hard time doing that, this can be a really good way to anchor you into a day. We have one more we're going to do, which is we're going to do one to connect to spirit. This is something you can do before you fall asleep. So you write down the person's name. So if you want to connect with someone before you fall asleep, now this can be an actual deceased loved one. This can be an angel. It can be a spirit guide if you know what that means. We've talked a lot about that on our podcast before. And if you don't know what that is, just do a little quick search on our podcast. You will find several episodes that talk about spirit guides and your spirit family. And so this particular spell or setting this intention to connect with spirit before you fall asleep would have you write down someone's name that you want to connect with on a piece of paper. And then you say their name out loud and ask them to come bring you guidance and meet you in your dreams. And again, this is only for good, right? So we're not inviting anything that is not good energy. This is all positive energy, and trust in people you love or an angel or a spirit guide that you love and trust. And so place that piece of paper under your pillow. I do this a lot with crystals, actually. And you can also do this with this intention of putting someone's name on paper, because for me, crystals, I'm inviting certain energies to come into my dreams and to help fuel certain things. So I can see how this would work with a piece of paper and setting an intention to talk to someone or receive messages. So then before falling asleep, imagine how they look. If there's someone that you knew in this lifetime, how they smelled or how they made you feel. And so if it's an angel or a spirit guide that you know of, how does it make you feel when you think of them? What do they look like to you? Imagine yourself having a conversation with any of them and then go to sleep and see what happens.
Do you think this would work if you were trying to connect with your higher self and not necessarily other spirit kind of thing?
I totally do.
What would that look like for you, Lisa?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because I think when I picture that, I have trouble picturing it because in my dreams, I'm not necessarily seeing myself.
It's not a visual. Yeah, it's more of a feeling. That's why I was like, so how would the visualization work then, I guess?
I would say in terms of a visualization of if you were trying to connect with your higher self, I would encourage you to, I know this is going to sound weird, but picture yourself as light. I actually picture my higher self, and I have a visual and I have a name for this, for my higher self, which you can find out, by the way, by either doing a regression or having a reading with someone who can help connect you with that higher self. Now you can do this yourself, Lisa, but I would say I picture white light. I would then say to you, what do you believe your higher self feels like? Is it warm, loving, powerful, all-knowing? To me, you'd have to really concentrate on what it feels like, and then picturing that light, because it is going to be source good energy, that kind of thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe it's actually what, maybe you're not going to see a person or like a visual of a person, but maybe you'll be see scenes, or maybe you'll be
I think so. For
seeing
sure.
certain things in your dream.
That's right.
Or how you interact with whatever's going on in the dream.
That's right.
I also was going to say too, I have trouble with dreams in the sense that I don't always remember them. I know I've
Me
dreamt
too.
the night before, but I don't always remember. And my mom taught me, if you want to remember your dreams, you literally have to sleep with a notebook. Literally, it's something that you're going to feel the minute you wake up, so that you force yourself to write it down, because otherwise you can let go of whatever that visitation or experience could be with that loved one. So just add that extra little layer so that when you wake up, it forces you to remember and write it down.
Yeah, I think that's
good
really,
advice.
and if it's not a notebook, if you're like me and you sleep with your phone near you, I know I shouldn't, but I do charge my phone near me. And for me, it would be easier sometimes to just write it in my notepad.
You
So
can also set your alarm on your phone so that it's a different alarm. So it sounds like maybe something angelic when you wake up. That is like a mental trigger.
ooh, I love that.
And force yourself to remember that last little, usually it's right before you wake up that you have those dreams, closer to the morning. So you can try that too.
Maybe you could also do an audio note, like it might be easier.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to set the angelic
I wanna
alarm, because right
And
now
listen,
it's like
these things are so easy. So most of the things we're talking about are things you have in your house, and or you don't need anything. You just need to set that intention. So what are you guys thinking after this conversation? How are you feeling?
I was a little nervous in the beginning because I've never done anything like this before. But once we got into it, it became a little easier.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun. I'm super open to all of it, and I want to believe so much of it. And then there's parts of me that's, I don't know about this. But these types of,
Which we
yeah,
welcome.
which is why these types of experiences and conversations are good, because it's just more exposure. And not to get like too philosophical, but isn't that what life's about? Just experiencing things, trying things, let's see. And if something resonates with you, again, going back to, you just know when something feels right. And if something resonates, then you should pay attention to that. And so that's why I like doing these things, because I wrote a few things down that I was like, oh, okay, that's something. I really like getting a deeper view into the self.
I've always said to people about this woo stuff that we talk about, at the end of the day, how does it make you feel? Is it true? Is it real? Is it whatever? You can make up your own mind to that. But I feel like this time we've spent together has made us all feel good, and like looking for the magic, looking for the possibility of stepping into our own power of what we can do for ourselves and how we can feel. So I think at the end of the day, that's what a spell is. That's where the magic is. It's there.
I think that's beautiful.
I love the way you said that, Karen. And I also think all of this reminds us of the magic in every day. We love talking about practical magic and everyday magic. And when we talk about magic, it is something that gives you hope, brings you joy, connects you to something bigger than you can see. And that's the idea of this, is it's fun. And it really does, it makes you wonder. And it also, in my opinion, it brings awe. When we talk about awesome, there's the awe of things. And I think when you use something like that freeze negativity spell and something actually happens that makes your life better in whatever way that is, you're in awe, right? When you get cards that align with who you are and where you are in life, there's awe. Just seeing the Northern Lights in Chicago, I was in awe. And to me, that is magic. And if you look for it, there is magic in every day, even when you feel like there is no hope or you're so frustrated. If you're open, you will be shocked. If you set that intention to look for it, it's there.
I love that. I love also thinking about it's making me look at Halloween differently this year, right? So now when we're looking at the ghosts or we're looking at the masks or the witches or the spell, all those words, I think we can see the magic in a totally fun and different new way. So I'm so glad we did this. It was fun.
But
Super fun.
even
Thank
just
you guys.
even just the words, I wrote them down: wonder, magic, awe, and fun. Who doesn't want all that?
Exactly. Who doesn't want to live life with that, right?
Every day, not just on.
Exactly. And that's the thing. This is something that you can listen to all year round. If you need a reminder, we will have resources we talked about will be in our show notes. We're excited that you met Lisa and Noel. You will be seeing and hearing from them more in upcoming podcasts and on YouTube. And thank you all for listening. Here's to everyday magic.
Happy Halloween.